You're listening to a Nerds podcast. All things nerds, music, horror movies, pro wrestling, video games, anything nerds would like.
Once again, back with another Nerds podcast. Today, I'm happy to have this young man in here with me. I really appreciate it. Seth Rouse, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, buddy.
Thank you. My podcast is basically called Nerds Podcast. It's for pro wrestling, music, horror movies, etc. Everything nerds would basically do, what they enjoy. So I like to have pro wrestlers in there because it's just fun to interview people in their basically what they do, like their basically their profession and everything. And I'm just like, have you been a fan of wrestling your entire life?
Yeah, since I was about 3 or 4 years old, I've watched it and grew up loving it.
That's cool, man. Like, when you were young, who were the wrestlers on TV you like to watch?
Guys like Owen Hart, Stone Cold, the Hardy Boys, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, them guys.
That's cool. That's all right. Now, as like, I'm gonna say this more as when wrestling started to more register as when you got older, when you started like appreciating what you were watching. Who was the people that like when you said this dude is awesome? Who stood out in that in that particular version? Like,
man, I mean, there's a couple of them. As I got older, like I kept thinking I was going to grow out of it, but each time, it would come around, there would be new eras coming out. Like, most people may not agree with this, but, I loved John Cena growing up, too. Like, as soon as Stone Cold was done, I was like, I'm done with wrestling. That Stacker commercial comes on, and I see John Cena rapping. I discovered John Cena at a young age. And then John Cena, like, I see bigger and stuff like that. I was like, I almost got bored with it when I was growing up, like when I got almost to my teenage years. And then here comes CM Punk,
Yeah.
CM Punk is another one that, like, just drew me right back into wrestling and made me love it. And then, like, new guys that, like, I don't really like watching it that much no more, besides unless it's, like, Pete Dunne or Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of people on, like, Impact and Ring of Honor now, and New Japan Wrestling. But growing up, man, it was just, like, different ones would draw me in.
That's cool, though. I like that, though. People give, John Cena a bad rap, but he is a legitimate performer. So I would never crap on someone just for the sake of doing that. But I think some people, it's just fun to basically crap on someone just for the sake of doing it. But that's kind of weak if they're doing it for that reason.
Yeah.
Now, in school, did you do any sports in school?
I played a little football, stuff like that. But mostly, it was always in school and stuff. It was mostly, always trying to entertain, my friends and like being the funny dude or doing the stupid stunts and stuff like that. Like, stuff like that. I'll do stupid stuff just to get make my friends laugh or make other kids laugh and stuff.
Okay, that's cool though. Now, when you got a chance to basically to train, who did you train under, and like, what was that like when you started training?
When I started training, I signed with this company called Traditional Southern Wrestling. There was a little company here in Corbin, Kentucky, and the dude that ran it, I grew up watching him at different National Guard armories and stuff like that. His name's Mike Murphy.
Okay.
And but whenever I was with him, I ended up meeting one of my closest friends ever. He's been doing it about 16 years. His name's Brad Riley. He's a really good, really, really good wrestler, and he has like a great mind for it and everything. Him and a dude by the name of Jay Smooth, they both pretty much took me under their wing and taught me everything I know now. And ever since then, that's who's always always helped me and guided me.
That's cool. Like, I always like to ask the question too. Like, when you first got on the mat for the first time in that ring, and you took your first bump, how did that feel?
Oh, it felt good. Like, there for a while, I was there for about the first week. I thought I was doing it real good, and I was doing it wrong, apparently, and There for about a week when I first took my first bump, I ended up getting a knot on my spine and everything. But I'd still go in there and train and still bump and everything.
Okay, that's cool. Now, as the regiment goes, what did they have y'all doing? Well, you in particular, what kind of workouts they have y'all doing to get y'all basically toughness in the ring?
Well, whenever I was at TSW, we was always constantly running drills in the ring. We would each run in at a time and do different stuff, and then always constantly doing cardio, always moving your legs and stuff like that. But it wasn't until maybe last year is when I really started getting in the gym and actually focusing on my body and stuff like that. But whenever I first got into it, the only workout regimens I ever did was pretty much in the ring, was lifting people in there and just running and doing all kinds of different cardio stuff.
Okay, that's cool. Now, this may not register you, but you probably heard these stories. You heard the stories of they basically mentally try to break you and see if you're tough enough to handle it. Did they? I'm not asking if they harass you like that. I'm just asking, was it more like a tough love or something like that, or how was it? Were they just working so hard that you want to see who's still standing? Did that happen in your camp?
My buddy Brad, he was always the one that gave me the tough love and stuff like that. But at the same time, he would always, be in my corner. It was never ever beating me down or nothing like that.
Yeah.
It was just he always just got me really ready, for whatever, and always try to make sure that I was prepared for whatever situation it may bring, But most of the time, I never got harassed or nothing like that, or bullied or nothing like that in the ring.
Yeah, that's cool. Now you're doing you're on the professional circuit. What is the name of your promotion? If you have several ones or you going in and out of promotions, what are the ones you normally go to when you get to hone your craft?
Right now, I'm owning my craft at a place called KZW. It's called Kentucky's Own Wrestling, and it's a promotion. They're just now trying to get right back up from all this COVID.
Yeah,
they brought me in, and ever since they brought me in, man, it's been nothing but open arms, and they had my back ever since day one. And here pretty soon, I'm in works of getting signed in other places, not signed, but coming in and working for them too. So I'm getting out there quite a bit now.
That's cool. Now, I don't know how. I'm sure it's different in any promotion in general, but in your promotion, are you a person that are you hands-on with creating your character, or is someone helping you write stuff, or how does that work in your promotion?
Well, I came up with my own gimmick. I've always had full hands on my creative side and stuff like that, and what my character is about and what I do with them. And pretty much each promotion I've been at, they just support that and they run with it.
Okay, that's cool. What is if you have a style? I'm just asking if you do. If you have a style, would you consider yourself like a chain mat, hot wire or anything? Do you have a style? If you do, what would you call it if you did?
I like to think that I'm technical, but then again, I haven't really showed my submission side yet. But there's some I've been working on. But I also throw a little bit of high flying in there too.
That's cool though.
I do a little combination of a lot, a little bit of everything.
Okay, that's cool. Now, as do you have a philosophy in this? I mean, if it doesn't matter. I'm just curious. Do you have a philosophy in wrestling? If you do, I'm just curious if you do have one. There's no wrong answer.
I don't really have one now.
I mean, it's okay if you didn't. I mean, because everyone's different if you did, but if you did, it wouldn't make a difference. If you didn't, it'd been cool either. How is the scene in your area as wrestling? Before pre-COVID, let's say pre-COVID, how was the scene in your area?
Well, you know, at TSW, you know, we drew quite a bit. You know, like the lowest we ever really had was like maybe like 80 that I've seen. You know,
That's good.
It got really bad there for a while, but it also picked right back up. Like the most I've ever seen a show was like maybe 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And like now during COVID, I mean, like easily at KZW we're drawing close to like 150, something like that.
That's cool.
And that's like in a place called Shopville, and it's not really that big of a place, and
Yeah.
we're still drawing people in there.
Now, like, as the other wrestlers in there, like, is the what is the age difference between if it's a younger or older? Like, who are the other wrestlers that are performing there? Are they like a lot of veterans, or like is it a lot of young people? Who comes through that camp with you?
Right now at KZW, it's kind of like a mixture. You know, there's some young people up in there doing their thing, and then we got quite a few veterans in there doing it too. Just like with my old company too, you know, there's a bunch of vets in there, and there's a whole thing where we was bringing up a lot of young people too, training them and then bringing them in and letting them work too. That's how I pretty much came up in it too. Was I was green for the longest time. I was wrestling under a mask.
Okay.
But it's like a mixture though, pretty much. There's young, and then there's a few vets and stuff like that.
Okay, that's cool. Would you say? I'm not going to ask you a veteran, but you say are you fairly knowledgeable right now of the sport?
Am I what? Sorry,
If you have you have a good enough knowledge of the sport now, would you say you can teach somebody?
I think for the most part, you know, yeah, I could, you know, give the basics of what I've learned. You know, I do have pretty good knowledge of it all, just from where, you know, I've always listened to people and stuff like that, and watched how mostly what I've seen. And like I said, one of my best friends, he's been doing it for 16 years.
That's cool.
That dude he has a crazy mind for wrestling, and
okay.
He's taught me a lot.
Okay, that's cool though. Like, let's say hypothetically, say if I was a young guy and I came in there, and I'm not asking a whole lot of questions, not a whole bunch of goofy questions. I'm just asking the basics. Like, what would the training regimen would be good for someone who is like, let's say hypothetically, someone coming in young in their early 20s and they want to try their hand at that. What would you tell them the training to show them the ropes? What would you start them off with if you had any ideas?
Well, from the start, you know, I just, you know, let them see how to run the ropes, let them take bumps, you know, show them a little bit of chain wrestling, stuff like that. Just your basics, and just see if they can handle it from there, and see how they take it, and, you know.
Okay. That's cool, though. Like,
it's pretty basic, but at the same time, it is a lot to get used to, you know.
It is.
There for a while, your body will be sore if you're just now getting into it and like bumping and stuff like that. It takes a while for your body to get used to it.
Yeah, I agree. It's like anything you're doing. It's a separate. I always say like in wrestling, it's a separate cardio outside of any other sports you would do. You know, you can be phenomenal, but you still not prepare for what y'all do. I think y'all professional wrestlers are the most underrated and openly disrespected for no reason. and never understood why. It never made any sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
everybody thinks it's just, you know, fake and all scripted and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, half the stuff you see around here is not scripted. You know, like we don't plan a whole show out. We go out there mostly on the fly and put the story together with just our bodies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like, I think that's way more than just going in there and beating the crap out of somebody and, you know, getting a knockout or something like that. Because that's, you know, anybody can almost do that.
Yeah.
But for somebody to step into something and tell a story with just your body,
it's hard to do.
It's very hard to do.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. Because I think it's like, and it's a misconception. Like I'll say, like I'll give you an example. I didn't even contend about Rick Rude. I didn't even realize, and in comparison, he didn't like a big guy. but he was 6'3" and he was like 250. That's a gigantic dude, but I never looked at him as a big guy, even though he bumped around the ring. You never really think about it. I never thought about that he's doing all that work. Like Mr. Perfect, another example. He was doing all the work. So that dude is a legitimate athlete. The fact that he can take his body, he bounced around the ring. And I mean, his career was cut short. Both of them was kind of sad. They should have been further than when they did, but it is what it is. But those are two examples of people who are legitimate main eventers who never got the title.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we can go on and we can talk about guys in the ring. And and like I'll say it like this: there are legit badasses in professional wrestling that we have no idea what they're capable of doing because they don't show it. Like you know some people. I guarantee you know people who can snatch up somebody.
Yeah.
But that and like, do you remember the brawl for it all? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was the worst idea, but a lot of those guys you wouldn't know from the fighting, but them guys are straight killers. Like there's some people that are straight killers in there.
Yeah.
And that's like the misconception. That's no, I mean the misconception is like William Regal, Fit Finley, Pat Patterson. Who was it? It was a guy who. Do you remember Iron Sheik?
Yeah.
Do you remember when Iron Sheik had beat Bob Backlund? And Bob Backlund, he said he could deadlift 500 pounds. He didn't look like it though.
Mm-hmm.
And that dude was a legitimate wrestler. He was a legitimate grappler. I mean, you can say Kurt Angle. You can say people like, Steve Blackman. He was a black belt in all kinds of martial arts. And there's like the Steiner brothers who were straight up psychopaths. I mean, it's so much. Go ahead, sorry.
No, my bad. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that they were legitimate psychopaths, but like, just so many. I don't want to sit there and keep mentioning it because I don't want to take over the interview.
Right. There's some crazy people that I know that I've worked with. There's a dude named that used to help me train a little bit, and he would just teach me straight up mat wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And his name's Ryan Dickey. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but like that dude, he is crazy strong. Like if he would ever get his hands on somebody, I guarantee you he could definitely hurt somebody.
I bet. That's the thing. It's like, cause you watch wrestling like when you were a kid, like early on, like what do you? And I'll say WWE, F whatever. When you first started wrestling, who was like the wrestlers as a kid? I know I probably asked you that question before, but I'm talking about when you first, your memories of wrestling. I'm gonna say that because I can tell you like it was Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair and like Tequila Koloff and like people like that.
So, what do you mean, like the toughest you think? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'll say it that way. Who do you think is as growing up? Who do you think the ones who are the toughest? I was asked that way. That's a better way of asking.
Like I said, I always thought, I don't know if it was just a gimmick or not, but I always thought, like I said, Stone Cold, he looked like he'd be a rough son of a bitch, to go in there and go toe to toe with. I don't know, maybe it was just the attitude and stuff like that. But
he might have a little bit of skill. He was.
I mean, like even if it is scripted, he went face to face with Mike Tyson, and that's something nobody could really do, even if they're entertaining. I always thought it was badass. Watching that when I was growing up, seeing him go toe to toe and flip them off.
Yeah.
Like I said, in Chris Benoit, I always thought he was a monster. Like literally, three German suplex back to back without even letting somebody go and just picking a grown man up straight up. Like I always thought he was like rough as can be.
I think he has some skill. I think he was. There was Hardcore Holly.
Hardcore Holly.
He was scary.
And the Hardy Boys too. I mean, I think they're underrated when it comes to being the toughest. Because they're throwing their bodies off freaking, all the way 20 feet up in the air and
That's some
15
scary
feet
stuff.
in the air. That's crazy.
That's some scary stuff. You remember, what's it? It's not Joey Mercury. It's the other guy. He used to be part of J&J Security. He was with John Morrison. He was his tag team partner. I forget what.
Joey Mercury?
Yeah, they say Joey Mercury. I did say it right. Do you remember when they had the ladder match and Joey Mercury got smacked in the face with the ladder and it basically shattered his nose and it leaked like a faucet?
Yeah.
That was terrifying. He said backstage it stopped leaking. It kept bleeding. Backstage it wouldn't stop bleeding.
Yeah, you got to be really tough to take that.
Yeah. It's not fake. I mean, you can say what they want to say. There's nothing fake about someone coming off the ladder and hitting the face. Like, how you fake that? What do you think? You have a mouthful of blood packets? You can tell it's not. You can tell it's real.
Yeah, your body endures a lot of pain, even though it looks fake to people. Like, it endures a lot of physical damage to your body.
Yeah, because you have an expiration date on your body. If you're a boxer, a football player, a basketball player, whatever you have expiration date. And some people's are longer because they have less impact. But if you hit that mat every day, the same thing every day, at some point your body's like, look, we got to do something else because we're shutting down.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and
I always say I'm going to do it until it cripples me. That's my whole plan until it puts me in a wheelchair itself. That's pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, you're not alone. I mean, there's wrestlers. I can say Mick Foley and what's his name? He was a hardcore legend in ECW. Sabu too. He was an older man. Terry Funk. Yeah. He was doing moonsaults at 60. That's insane. I can't even say more about him because he wrestled way beyond his prime.
Yeah.
Now, do you watch any other promotions right now? If you do, if you don't, it's cool. But if you outside your own promotion, do you keep up with anything?
Oh yeah, I always like to follow a bunch of wrestling pages. From Ohio, from Kentucky, from Tennessee, pretty much all over. I always like to see what everybody's producing and who's all putting in the work and stuff like that. I just like to see what's all out there. And there's a bunch of really good places around that I'd like to eventually get my foot in.
Yeah.
But right now, I've seen all kinds of promotions, killing it at what they do.
Okay, that's cool though. I like that. Now, which ones that really stand out for you? Do you really you like to be a part of? Can you think any one particular?
There's a couple. There's this place in Ohio. It's called Rockstar Pro. I always see good stuff coming from them, and they're I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but his name's Larry D.
Okay.
He has his own. He just now started up a brand new one. He did have Primetime Wrestling, but now it's Generation Next Wrestling or Next Generation, something like that. But, and during the COVID, I just seen pictures of what he just done, maybe a weekend ago or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He had a whole gym shoulder to shoulder.
That's cool.
Packed. And then there's a couple in Tennessee I've heard and I've seen, KSW and stuff like that. Really good ones. They actually put in work.
That's cool. I like that.
And then WWA. I forgot about WWA. They're in Central City, Kentucky. If I recommend you guys check out any kind of wrestling around the scene here, that would be the one. Is WWA.
Okay.
Those boys are crazy.
That's cool though. I like that. It's cool. Now, I want to say off the back, I really appreciate you doing this, and hopefully, down the line I get to talk to you again. But I only got a few more questions, and I always like to do these questions. They're kind of fun now, And it's two questions, like a fantasy question for you. And the first question is going to be, it's like a wrestling stable. And let's say it's a fantasy promotion, and you're the ringleader of this promotion, of this stable, and you get 4 guys, living or dead. You can be in your promotion, doesn't matter. I don't even know who they are. Just tell me who they are and why'd you pick them. But if you can pick 4 people, you're the 5th person. Who would you pick in your stable?
Well, my first one would be Pete Dunne.
Cool.
Because that dude is just, I love everything about that dude. His
Yeah.
style, everything. He's a good worker.
Yeah.
Second would be Seth Rollins.
Cool.
I've always liked that guy since day one. Like, even when he was in Ring of Honor and Charlotte Black, like, that dude's just working incredible. Like, and then I throw Daniel Bryan in there.
Mm-hmm.
Because Daniel Bryan is just like, he's a big inspiration to me, pretty much. And because he's a little dude, you know.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
a little guy myself. I ain't the strongest.
Yeah.
Like that. But, and then my fourth one would have to be either Kevin Owens or Chris Jericho. Like,
That's cool.
Chris Jericho is a big inspiration to me too, pretty much. So like, I just love what he does. And then Kevin Owens, you know, he's incredible.
I like that. That's pretty cool. I like that. That's a pretty cool team. That's an awesome team. I like that. Now the second one is going to be for a main event. You say like a WrestleMania main event for the heavyweight championship or whatever. And you can pick whoever your opponent is, living or dead, doesn't matter. It could be anyone you particularly know personally. Who would you pick to be your main event opponent?
My main event opponent. A dude named Matt Cross. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but
That sounds familiar. I can't think why about it.
he was also like from Lucha Underground, known as Son of Havoc. Like, he does
Okay.
a lot of work around the indie scenes too.
Okay. I know that name.
He's like in his, I wouldn't want to say he's in his 40s, but I mean, like, he's up there.
Yeah.
But he moves smoother and faster than any young person I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's
in my
crazy.
life.
He's crazy athletic. Agility. His
He's
agility is
great.
insane.
Like, he's pretty good.
I like that. That's pretty cool. I like him. I forgot about Son of Havoc because it's been a long time since I've seen anything since Lucha Underground closed down, and they had so many great wrestlers. But when you said that, I'm like, that would be a perfect dude to wrestle. That would be awesome. I like that. Thank you again. And do you have any up and coming you want just put out there if you have anything?
May 8th in Chalkville, Kentucky, I'm going to be main eventing for the KZW heavyweight title. So,
Okay, cool. That sounds awesome. And
then on the 30th this month, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if I should put it out there yet, but I'm going to anyways, but I'm going to be in a promotion up in Frankfurt called Kentucky Elite Pro Wrestling.
Okay, that's cool. I like that. That's cool. Congratulations on all your things you're doing. I think it's amazing. And I hope everything good comes for you because I know you're a very talented person, and I really appreciate the fact you took time out of your day just to talk to me. So I want to know that I am grateful, and I'll never not be grateful for that. And hopefully down the line, when you're not busy, you just like to hit you up again and basically just talk about wrestling, and anything you want to talk about wrestling, old school, new school, whatever you're doing, that'd be really fun.
No problem, man. Anytime you want, just hit me up and we'll get something worked out.
Awesome, man. Man, I hope you have a good rest of your day and the rest of your week too.
You too, man.
All right, man. Thank you, sir. See ya. Once again, that was Seth Rouse, and he was really nice enough to let me interview him. And hopefully down the line, we'll get to talk to him again. I hope everything goes out great for him because I know he's a very talented young man. And, this was really fun. So I'm going to do this again. I'm going to do zombie sound effects and sign it out. Bye.